It is the single biggest misconception about cutting promos, and it's a rookie mistake you cannot afford to make. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are passionate about the craft of professional wrestling, and you're never done learning all about it, then you have landed in the exact right place. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, join the Till We Make It tribe. Subscribe right now. Sometimes, when I'm being introduced to a group of new people who are from outside the wrestling bubble, they immediately launch into a series of annoying questions. So annoying, in fact, I made a video on the channel about exactly that. However, once the conversation gets going a little bit, they sometimes say something like this. Oh, you're a pro wrestler. You must be really good at trash talking then. I love that bit where they get in the ring and they have a microphone and they're trash talking each other. And that is a bit of a misconception. And when people possessed of that misconception go from being on one side of the curtain to going behind the curtain, they begin their journey into becoming a professional wrestler. They start training, etc. If they hang on to that misconception, it can be quite dangerous because trash talking is a thing, and it's a totally separate thing from cutting a wrestling promo. Before I break it all down for you, would you leave a like-a-palooza on today's video, please? It really does help the channel to grow. Thanks for doing that. The short answer to the question posed in today's title, is cutting a promo just trash talking? The short answer to that is no. And the long answer is also no. Someone skilled at cutting a pro wrestling promo understands that it's really about building up your opponent, while trash talking is tearing your opponent down. They're actually diametrically opposed to one another. Now, if you've already read my book, 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, you will definitely hear echoes of Chapter 3 in today's video. Seamless plug points for me. I do think it's worth mentioning, there are different kinds of promos, and the definition of a promo has broadened over the years, especially in the last 20 to 25 years. So much so that what used to be strictly defined as only promotional messages has widened to include these 5 categories. There's the vignette, which develops character. There's a skit, which develops plot. There's a get-over promo, which develops one character only. There's a branding promo, which develops motive. It answers the question, why? And then there's the money promo. A promo designed to build interest in a match such that it compels a sale of some kind is a money promo. If you want to get people invested in an upcoming match such that they're willing to spend some kind of currency on it, then you're talking about a money promo. And that currency, it could be actual money. They're buying a ticket, they're buying a live stream, they're purchasing a pay-per-view, etc. But it could also include their attention. And here's why I believe attention is also a currency. It is finite in supply, and it is very valuable. For someone to spend their attention on you, on your promo, on your match, that has value. And in order to compel someone to spend their money or spend their attention on what you are making, you have to make sure you are constantly adding value. You are building. You're never taking the value away. You're never tearing it down. And if you need to cut a money promo, but you make the mistake of trash talking your opponent, tearing them down, taking value away, you're going to find it won't be effective. It is an absolute mistake to think that trash talking is synonymous with cutting a wrestling promo. And yet, there are working pros out there right now laboring under that mistaken notion, either because They were never trained in the art of cutting a promo, or because the actual work of it is too challenging for them, and so they just revert back to whatever is comfortable to them, or whatever bad habit they formed years ago. Trash talking is not cutting a promo. So if that isn't what it is, what is the work of cutting a promo? How do we compel someone to spend their attention or spend their money on the wrestling we are making? The real work of a promo is to build your opponent up. They have to become a worthy opponent, a worthy challenger. In the absence of that, interest withers. No one wants to see Superman take on a unicorn piñata. I'm really certain who's going to win that match. It's not going to be very entertaining. I want to see Superman matched against an equal or even greater opponent. That's a challenge that excites the imagination. And in order for that to be the case, you must build up your opponent when you are cutting a promo. You have to articulate their specific value. You know what I mean by that? Are they especially acrobatic? Are they flexible? Are they supremely skillful? Do they have a very dangerous finishing move, or perhaps a remarkable physique? Every pro wrestler has to have some value, and you are going to name that value and articulate it as specifically as possible in your promo. And they're all different. Andre the Giant's value, very different from Mystico's value, and that's entirely separate from Carmella's value, which is really quite different from Shingo's value. Each of these have to be explained to the audience, and the more rich the detail you can use when doing it, the more effective your promo becomes. Specificity is king when cutting promos. And I'm going to give you 2 examples just to get you moving in the right direction on this one, okay? So it's great to say that your opponent is strong. That's a fine value to call out. But just saying that they're strong is a little generic. It would be much more effective to say something like this. I watched you squat 580 pounds, and you didn't even break a sweat. Believe me, I understand how powerful you are. Or perhaps you're going up against an opponent whose main value is they are resilient. Well, it's fine to say they are resilient in your promo, but that's also kind of generic, right? It doesn't excite someone's imagination to hear that said aloud. Instead, it would be more effective to say something like this. I hit you 11 times with a steel chair. I watched it tear chunks out of your shoulder, and a red river ran down your back before I was done, and yet you still got back up. In both of those examples, I am putting value on my opponent rather than trash talking them, tearing the value away, tearing away interest in the match. I am always building. I'm building value. I'm building interest. I'm building attention. And especially if you want people to spend their money or their attention on the wrestling you are making in this current era of wrestling, the era we are in right now, the social media era of wrestling, when there is more pro wrestling content being created in a week, in a month, in a year than anyone could possibly consume, you have to grab their attention. And in order to do that, you need to be building interest, never taking it away. So make sure that when you have the microphone, you are building up your opponent. You are never tearing them down. I dive even deeper into this topic in my book, 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, a book I wrote for fellow pro wrestlers. You knew it was coming back around to this, right? You can get a print copy or a digital copy from Amazon.com, links below in the descriptus, or jump over to Audible.com where they have the audiobook that I narrate myself. If you want to take your education in wrestling to the next level, come join our community over on Patreon. I just finished a brand new patron exclusive video called The Vince McMahon is Obsolete. And the link appearing on screen will lead you to our Patreon. You can join us for as little as $5 a month and start instantly unlocking some of the 478 exclusive posts I've made only for my patrons, stuff you'll never see here on the channel.